Welcome to the podcast where Shocker, Grump, and Barty take you on an unplanned comedy adventure each episode. The host and guests remain anonymous to protect the innocent and the guilty. The views and opinions are not shared by the sponsors, but they should be.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Shocker, Grump, and Barty podcast. Glad you have joined us again. And Grump's with me today. Of course, I'm Barty, and Shocker may be joining us a little bit late, but welcome, Grump.
Hey man, what's going on?
Man, every day's a holiday. What more could we ask?
Yeah,
All
you always
right, so
kill me
we got it.
with that schedule conversation, trying to schedule this podcast, and your schedule is so full, and I'm
I
thinking to
know.
myself, how does a retired guy have a full schedule? What the hell with that? I mean, yeah. Hey,
Now, we've
listen,
already been through this, Grump. I retired from like a mature, responsible job that I just didn't want to keep working 75 hours a week and be stressed out all the time. That doesn't mean I sit on my ass, but thanks for the support.
oh no, listen. If you need a class on how to sit on your ass, I'm happy to help.
I know, I'm well aware. I've yet to figure out how you have full-time jobs and work 15 to 20 hours a week. I hadn't figured that out
Uh,
yet, but
yeah. Well, I
it's
mean,
pure jealousy.
it's part talent and part purposefully done. So yeah, I can clue you in at some point. But yeah, all good
Awesome.
though, man.
All right. Well, today's topic, though, and we've talked about this, but today's topic is, the best way to describe it is inconsiderate people. Okay. Because I have had it up to my ass in inconsiderate people. I'm tired of them. I'm frustrated with them. They piss me off on a daily basis.
Preach, brother.
And I've got zero problem with anyone based on race, sex, I mean sexual orientation. I don't care. I don't care what socioeconomic class they're in. I don't care, but I have an enormous problem with people that are just fucking inconsiderate of everybody around them. And I hit the wall about 2 weeks ago. I was traveling and I'm on the interstate and I'm going through a thunderstorm. And this retard is in the left lane going 45 miles an hour in a 70-mile-an-hour zone with their fucking flashers on because it's raining. And and I almost lost it. I mean, it was everything in my being not to just go into an absolute road rage moment. But I started thinking, that's where I just can't stand it anymore. Are you with me on that?
100%. It's a bit of a there's multiple issues going on in that scenario. But the primary one, and this exists whether it's raining or not, um, is the left lane loungers. Um, and there's more creative terms for them, but that's the core problem right there.
Why
And
do people do it? I mean, is there what's the logic behind this?
well, there's a couple things. One is, and what comes to mind for me is it's just another it's just another damn liberal, in the sense that
Which
in
is
that,
not a
hey,
protected class.
you're right. It's that I own the road, and I pay taxes, and the speed limit is 70, and you shouldn't be allowed to go faster than 70, and therefore I'm just going to sit here and clog up the passing lane because you're going to go faster and you should be policed. It's not their fucking job to police. That's what we have the police for. So get the
Do you
fuck
think
out of the
they're out
way.
there doing
So
it just to slow everybody down? I mean, seriously?
well, that's one of my initial reactions because I'm not somebody who goes 70 miles an hour, but there's other layers to this orange, I should say, onion.
Now you're
That's what
mixing
yeah,
metaphors.
yeah, sorry. Let me be clear. Onion. Um, because, inconsiderate, um, I think you have to be mentally present to be inconsiderate. I think that
Yeah.
there is a fair amount of just general incognizance that is resulting in being inconsiderate because they don't look around themselves and think about anything other than themselves if they think at all. To think, oh, I should probably get out, never mind the law, never mind that the right lane is for slower traffic because it's on the signs. Read the fucking signs. If you aren't passing someone, get in the right lane. If you're passing someone, the left is good. And if somebody's behind you in the left lane, you know that you need to get out of their way because you're now slower after you passed what you passed. So you need to get out of the way. These fuckers just sit there and they don't care. And I think part of that is just because they're stupid. They're incognizant. They don't really know the rules of the road. And they just sort of do whatever they la di da want to do. And I can't tell you how many times I pass on the right because I do. And I do it all the time. I gave up. And I gave up 12 years ago.
Do you tell them they're
I
number 1 when you go by them on the right?
I've got another solution that I'm working on, and I'm happy to share with you. Okay, because I've spent enough time behind the windshield. As you know, I travel for a living, so I'm dealing
Yeah.
with these fuckers all the time. Um, and so for the longest time, I'm thinking, okay, if I if I just slide over to the right hand lane and get about a third past them, so I've got a good solid view of their rear quarter panel, passenger side, and my front quarter panel is about right where it needs to be, just to spin them into the median. And I think it should be legal because because the state of Tennessee anyway has a you can't sit in the left hand lane law. Okay, but who's enforcing it? Because I haven't seen anybody get pulled over for being the first guy in a length of cars that is 75 cars long. Clearly, they're the problem. Where's the Tennessee Highway Patrol flipping the blue lights and pulling that fucker over? I haven't seen it, hadn't heard of it, hadn't seen any posts anywhere going, I can't believe I got a ticket for sitting in the left hand lane. They're not enforcing it. So it's up to us as the public to do our part in changing this behavior because the cops aren't going to do it. So if you could legally bend them in to the median and just let them spin out and then just keep going. So you think about it from a business standpoint. There's a market for quarter panel protectors. That's something that you could put that would be steel reinforced, something you could mount to your car temporarily, right? So that you could not damage your vehicle while you spin them out into the median so they can think about what they did. See, here's the problem. These fuckers never went to their room and thought about what they did. They didn't have parents and said, you know what? Go to your room and you think about what you did. And when your dad gets home, he's going to go get his belt and he's going to take you to the bedroom and he's going to whip your ass because that's how I was raised. And guess what? I don't sit in the left hand lane. So and this is Gen X parents, because it's our fault because we raised these fuckers. You know what? That's not right. It's not generationally discriminatory. There's a lot of old people older than me that sit in the left lane too, and I believe they're liberals because they should know better. They're old enough to know the rules.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Never mind the Biden sticker, right? So there's a
Yeah,
couple things. One, you can
this is not an age specific thing. I mean,
no,
it's all
it's really not.
generations.
But if you could spin them out, I think they'd learn their lesson.
And I've got a great
Obviously, you
idea.
can't.
I know what we're gonna call this law, where it's legal to spin somebody out into the median. We're gonna call it the Rubbins Racing Law,
Yeah,
just
fuck,
like
it's the
NASCAR.
South. Right. I mean, it's not like we don't know what to do about this, right? I mean, this is simple stuff. We grew up learning how to deal with stuff like this. It's just a pit maneuver. It's super easy. Just shoot them over into the median and be done. Okay, so a lot of issues with that. You can't do that. But if it was made legal, by Lord, there'd be a market for reinforced quarter panels and something you could put on your car, spin people out, and then remove it later because you're not going to be on the interstate for a few more weeks, and then put it back in. That's good. You can't do that. All right. So what can you do is the question because I'm at a point now where I'm done. I'm just done letting this problem exist without
Yeah.
teaching them a lesson at some level. So over the years, and I like your Rubbins racing deal, but this is going to need a different um, a different name, and I do believe that there's a market for this, and I'm exposing the development of it. Whatever. I've struggled with how do I express my opinion of them after I pass them on the right. And I love
Yeah.
these little LED fingers in the rear
Yes,
window,
I've seen
where you
those.
can do
Those are
that.
awesome. Have you seen the ones
Love,
where you can program custom messages?
yeah,
You can
that
actually
would,
have a little mini message that scrolls. It's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it. Um, what I'm working on is a little different, and it utilizes doestrous urine, or maybe even your own urine for that matter. I kind of like the your own urine because if you piss in some sort of container on a regular basis, I mean, you're going to develop a pretty good amount of piss. And we all know that piss smells bad as it ages, right? So here's the deal. Here's the deal. Okay, you ready for this? Here's the deal.
Sure.
Um, a reservoir in the engine compartment, because heating up that aged piss is probably a value add. Run a line to a pump that pumps that piss down a line and then ejects that piss from the back of the car.
We've got the technology for this. I mean,
Oh,
you've
it's
got
dude, the
you've got the
technology is
rear
in my
rear
house.
windshield wiper. I mean, we can modify. We can just turn the little rear windshield wiper sprayer, and we could just redirect that in the right direction.
Yeah, so and I've done the research, so let me tell you what I've learned, all right? I'm happy to modify my rear bumper or something like that, if I need to. The parts are being put together now. I haven't tested this, but I've been looking for wind tunnel information on my make and model vehicle because you know that there's a lot of turbulence behind the car, but that turbulence travels over the vehicle pretty clearly. We've seen that many times on many vehicles. And then
Right.
there's air that travels under the vehicle that stays pretty consistent. What I don't want to do is have a sprayer or sprayer nozzle that feeds the turbulence that puts it back on my vehicle. What I want to do is I want to transfer that piss from the back of my car to the front of their car so that when their cabin air conditioning system or what have you encounters that piss, that it just pumps it into their cabin and they get to enjoy aged piss.
Yeah, you may be onto
That's
something.
that's the system, right? So I've got the parts and I'm putting it together, and I see two areas. One is 6 psi, which is what this pump will generate. Will 6 psi
We're
be
down to the
enough?
engineering pieces of this.
Fuck yeah, we are. I'm ready, dude. I'm ready.
Have you gotten the patent approval yet?
No, I haven't even filed for it yet, but I will. I don't think you probably couldn't get a patent on it, but I don't care so much about the patent as I do the success of disrupting their peaceful little stupidity in the left lane and get them to pay attention to what they're doing. And I'm pretty sure the smell of piss, aged piss, doe estrus urine, whatever, will get their attention. So I think there's a
Okay.
high probability of success with this. So the other thing is, will 6 psi be enough on the pump? The other is, where do you spray from where you don't end up just covering the back of your own car in piss? That's going to vary from vehicle to vehicle, but I think the 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 immediate answer is just going to be to to spray it into the airflow underneath the vehicle because that's relatively undisrupted. And I'll tell you where part of what inspired this was being behind someone and they clean their windshield. And when they clean
Oh
their
yeah.
windshield, all that shit just ends up on your windshield.
Yep.
Um, especially if you're me, because
That's
I'm
what you do to tailgaters. I do that.
yeah.
You just
Well, you
happen to
could
choose this is the moment in time when I'm gonna clean my windshield, extra clean my
right.
windshield.
Well, this could be a good tailgater, Apple the bumper pisser 2000. I don't know. We need to come up with a name. But and the third thing that's of concern, and this happens, so you need to do it in a manner that it's not really obvious what happened. Like, with the windshield, you know what happened, right? You saw the water, blah blah blah. Um, it needs to be subtle, so that it can't really be determined what the fuck just happened.
So it gets
And if
sucked into their air filter, the outside air filter that feeds the cabin of their vehicle. So
mhm,
that's what you're
mhm,
shooting for is you want it in there. So it's gotta
right,
come in some way through their hood area, I guess.
yeah, the front grill. I mean, that's where most of your air comes from. If you've ever been behind a diesel guy, this happened to me yesterday, in Knoxville. I mean, he was just cruising along, and all of a sudden, I smelled diesel. And I even
Yeah.
had my air recirculation on because I was running the AC and it automatically comes on. But those diesel fumes still got inside that cabin. That's exactly what I want to have happen. I want that piss to end up in their system so that they have to smell that piss. And it fades over time. So it's not like you're tainting the car forever. But,
Yeah.
I think it would be a great way to say, you know what, thank you so much for your contribution to ineffectiveness, and you're because I pass these fuckers and they're on their damn phones. I mean, they
Oh,
they they are
yeah.
not paying attention to what's going on anywhere near them, front or behind, and
Yeah.
they could give a shit less if they have 85 cars stacked up behind them who need to be somewhere. Okay, so
Well, I mean, I'm grateful
yeah,
if they're just on their phones because I had passed people before who were on their phones and reading a book or on their
right,
phones and putting on makeup. I actually saw somebody one time that they were doing all three on the interstate during morning rush hour traffic, putting on makeup while holding a book on top of their steering wheel, and talking to somebody who's not in the freaking car with them. I mean, I guess I give them credit that they obviously were using hands free for the phone, but their other hands were involved in things other than driving, and that's going down the
yeah,
interstate at 75 miles an hour. Um, Okay, so we've come up with a solution for that, but there's another group of inconsiderate people that I've reached a point of just total aggravation, and it's everything in my being not to scream at them, grab the phone out of their hand, and smash it into a million pieces. And it is the person that is conducting a FaceTime call on speakerphone in the middle of an aisle of a store and they're
yeah. See it all
walking
the time.
about 0.2 miles per hour. Um, why? I have never had a moment when I needed to do that ever. And if I had to make a phone call because my wife has sent me to find something in the store that I have absolutely no idea where it is, I step to the side out of the traffic flow. And I certainly don't do it on speaker. So, what is going on in the heads of these people that they think that this is acceptable?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I can't answer it because I'm not one of them. But my Gen Z daughters, are notorious for this, and it's one of uh, my bride's complaints is, she'll be watching a TV show or reading in the sunroom or something, and down they'll come with this completely public conversation that she doesn't want to have anything to do with, that she's now forced to deal with, much like you're saying. You just interrupted my environment with your FaceTime conversation, which I can assure you with Gen Z is not a conversation about much. Um, yeah, it's kind of there's two things that should be uninvented: FaceTime and social media, because they've done no favors to Gen Z.
But, I kinda get this I get the purpose and the application of the speaker phone. I kinda get it, okay? And I will use a speaker phone feature on occasion, but it's always in the same situation where I'm in my office by myself at my stand-up desk, and I'm on the phone with someone, and either my AirPods are not nearby, or I can't grab them, or I don't need them for a, 45-second conversation, but I need my hands free. So I sit my iPhone down on my standing desk and hit the speaker button so I can talk to that person while I'm on my computer. So I get that there is purpose to it. I just don't understand why it's used in a public setting in an inconsiderate way. And we're back to these fucking inconsiderate people. I don't need to hear their random FaceTime call. And I certainly don't need to be walking around them while they're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, it ties back into the cognizance point. They don't get that their presence interrupts other people's environments. I mean, speakerphones were invented for business purposes. You're
Yeah.
having a business conversation, you got a couple of other coworkers you need to pull in real quick, and then have a conversation with two or more people. It's a quick and easy way to do it, but it is not a protocol for fundamental private conversations. But FaceTime has blown that up, and now they don't even care. I mean, again, they don't care. They're not concerned with you. It's all about
But they're
them.
they're ruining it for everybody else because I don't call people on FaceTime because I get so annoyed by people who abuse it. And I
Mm,
don't know why I don't use it more. When I call my son that lives in another state, why do I not FaceTime him more often? I don't know. I think
Hey,
it's
because you
because
don't
I'm
need to
pissed
see
off at all
them.
these other people.
You don't need to see them. You need to have a
That's true.
communication. I mean, a two-way conversation needs to be had. Don't need to see you. Don't need to know where you're at. Don't need to do it. Now, I have used it when my daughter says, "Oh, hey, go by the bookstore and pick me up a sweatshirt." All right, well, there's 15 of them. Which one do you want? Can't do that when you're not
Yep.
here. So
Yeah.
I'll FaceTime that deal because I can flip it around and say, "Do you like this one? Do you like that one? Which one do you want?" Okay, that's a FaceTime application. But
I can
normal,
see that.
everyday, how are these people when they get into the real world gonna function in a company and business
Okay.
environment? They don't have
Stop right there.
FaceTime.
Stop right there. None of these people are going to be functioning in the real world in a business environment. Let's be real. Okay. They're not going to. So they don't have that frame of reference. This is a different group of people.
Which is 51% of the population because they don't work, and that's why they use FaceTime.
So true.
Because the people I see that you have this example you have raised and the people that when I run into this example, it's always at a Walmart or a grocery store or a Home Depot or some sort of retailer where people have got their little cart and they're going down the deal and they're just having this whole conversation while they're, it's a good chance they're on EBT cards. So they don't have
And
to
why
work.
why do you have to hold your phone like you when they do it though, they're not actually looking at the camera usually. They're just holding it
Mm,
like flat in the palm of their hand with the
talking to the
microphone
butt.
closer to their mouth. Why? They've already got their hand involved, so it's not like they need hands free. So why are they not taking it off speakerphone and putting it to their ear? I don't get it. I don't
Dum dum
understand. At
dum
least
dum dum
then I
dum
just hear
dum
one part of the conversation and not both parts.
dum dum
You
dum
know, I
dum
think
dum
it I
dum.
think I think it all goes back to what Ronald Reagan said when he was in the White House, and, God rest his soul. But Ronald Reagan said that the purpose of government is to protect us from each other. It's not to protect us from ourselves. But I think we've reached this point where I think some people need to be protected from themselves because they are influencing and interfering with my quiet enjoyment of life. I think we need to think about the Constitution. Maybe we need a modification to the Constitution. I don't know. Again, I'm just a pissed off person, it seems like.
Listen, the Constitution is as timeless of a document as it is. Um, that's why we can add amendments to it, but over time, other things become an issue. And yeah, I think we should use it to outlaw social media and FaceTime. Make it illegal in the US. You want to use
Yeah.
FaceTime, move to Italy. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yep.
Good
I
God
can see
Almighty.
that. I can see that.
Yeah.
But
But
I just
it's going to come down to a fundamental change in character, where they realize that somebody other than you exists in this world, and you should be considerate of that. You
I
know,
just
it's
don't
like
know if we're gonna I
it's
don't know
like
if we can
it's
get there though. Have we gone too far? I
no,
don't know if we can turn this around at this point.
100%. I don't think we can. That's why you got to piss on them. That's why we're past. You know, and that may be the name of the device. Piss on them. 2.0. You know, when we improve the design, you know, we can go to get your new piss on them. Um, just you know, it's. I don't think it's fixable. I don't want to be a downer. But I'm also pretty realistic, and until people are required to man up, then they won't. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, they're just not. I think you got to piss on them. It's the only solution available.
probably. I just would like to think there's another way to accomplish this. I just don't know what it is.
Well, you got your developmental years as a human being, right? And if you don't get certain things in the door during that developmental phase, you know, your probability of getting it in the door at all is diminished. And I kind of think that's, you know, the people that I run into, they're past the developmental stage. They're way past it. You know, when you're in the developmental stage, you're a 45 to 55 pound person, you know. Now you're a 380, 420 pound person.
rolling
What do
rolling on the little turtle carts that are in the
yeah.
grocery store and in Walmart.
What are you going to do now? Now they
Now
think
I
they're smarter than everybody else. And don't tell me that I can't
now
talk
I
on my phone.
I do give the engineers credit for putting the governors on those things to where they move so freaking slow that it's a hassle.
It'll
I've
take you
driven
all
one.
week to get your groceries. Yeah. Gonna take you all week.
I have
If
driven one
you can
just out
find
of
one that
sheer
works.
curiosity, but it was so slow. I was like, "Yeah, this isn't any fun." I mean, I
No,
wanna
it's not
modify those
fun.
things.
Yeah. When we get this thing up at about 65, 70 mile an hour, we can start having some fun, but not at 2.5 miles an hour. Yeah.
And I don't know why I thought about it. Have you seen the places that get one of these, roundabouts, you know, on the road, so the roundabout, instead of having a stoplight
Well,
or a
they're
stop sign
everywhere.
system.
Yeah. They're
Yes,
everywhere.
but have you seen where they've put one in, like, a smaller community that's not used to these, and they turn them into racetracks? And
Oh
they
my
will
gosh, that's brilliant.
it is there's one in, I think it's in Tennessee, and I can't remember the name of the little town, but let's just say it's called Aliceville. I don't think that's the name of the town, but they actually started something, and there is a Facebook group that's called, like, the Aliceville 500, and they capture on the traffic cam somebody going around the roundabout 500 times. It's
God, just to figure
awesome.
out how to get out of it. Yeah. You know, it's funny. There's a lot of
No, they're
debate around
just
the
doing
roundabout
it.
things.
They're just doing it to count up to 500 just for fun. It's
Oh,
awesome.
nice. Nice. Okay. Now I see it. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
honestly,
it's
let's put two of those liberals in there and just let them, you know, they're gonna go, okay, speed limit in the roundabout's 25. So we're gonna put two cars in the lane and only go 25. Yeah, let's counteract the efficiency of anything. Bring it. Yeah, let's do
yeah.
that. God, God help me.
But it just I don't know, it's just all of it. I mean, in restaurants, if you're in a crowded public restaurant and your voice is louder than everybody else in the restaurant, and it is certainly louder than what is necessary for the other people sitting at your table to hear you, can you not tone it down a little bit? I was sitting in one of the nicest restaurants in the town where I live just 2 weeks ago. And my bride looked at me and she said, "Why are you so quiet?" I said, "Because I can't even hear what's being said at our own freaking table because of the old people over there." And they were two tables away. I could hear them better than I could hear the people at my own table. I mean, just have have a sense of awareness of your environment.
Yeah,
It's
we need a
just
sign
it's
in the restaurant that says, "Please turn
fascinating.
down your hearing aids." The
Oh my
hearing aids are
god.
probably throwing that age group off, but yeah, I mean, again, it's in cognizance. It's just I'm not, and I'll give the old people, because I'm right behind them, man. Yeah, I mean, technically, I am old, but I know the older you
Well,
get within the old phase, the harder it
just
is.
because you're eligible for discounts doesn't mean you're old. Okay, so let's stop there.
Okay, I'll support that argument, but I do think once you start forming rules based on age, it's a good flag in the ground as to whether you're old or not. But I'm with you. I mean, I do appreciate the discounts, and I don't even take advantage of them because I really don't need them. But I'm sure there'll be a time when I do. But yeah, the older folks. I mean, we got hearing aid issues, we got tinnitus, um, but you should be cognizant enough to know, hey, you got a hearing aid in. That means that you're probably, going to talk louder than you should. So, you know, just be aware that, turn it down a little bit. But no, I feel you. I mean, the whole can't have a conversation at your own table. That's a challenge. But,
Yeah.
I think it can all be traced back, I think, to some level of incognizance that they need to have improvement with. And right behind, not being responsible for your own in cognizance sits with its smiling fat face, personal responsibility. You need to be personally responsible for your behavior, for those, that's what annoys me is people who with no personal responsibility want to argue about who's responsible. And it's never them. How's that work? Have that conversation
Yeah,
with the
no, I
bank.
agree.
Have that conversation with the police officer. Have that conversation, where we have, you know, requirements for responsibility. You're not going to win. Well, this is not my fault. No, it's your fault. Yeah, squarely
Yeah,
your fault.
yeah.
And there's
But
there's
that
no number of verbiage that you can regurgitate that's going to suddenly make me go, oh, yeah, that's not your fault. You didn't rear end my car. Yeah, okay. You didn't, you didn't get a late notice on your mortgage because you didn't pay your mortgage bill. That's not fair. Go argue with the bank why your balance is negative when you spent the damn money. I just don't
Yeah,
feel
and
like I should
I
have a
wish
zero balance in my account. Not about your feelings.
well, exactly. I mean, it has 0 to do with your feelings. I like to identify as a mega rich person, but it doesn't seem to matter to the bank.
Mm-mm.
They don't think I'm a mega rich person, but I identify that way. I wish I could hang this on generations, but you just really can't because the things we talked about are across multiple generations. I mean, the old folks are just as bad as the young folks at being inconsiderate of others. So I just don't know how we fix it anymore. I just,
Yeah, that's a struggle. How do you fix it? Because fixing it involves pain. Because
well,
I've always
I have
believed
to
that
And I have
if
to self-talk myself, particularly because I don't go in Walmart very often, okay? One of God's gifts to all of us is Walmart delivery service. If I have to have something
and
from
yep,
Walmart, I will pay the $100 a year for my own mental health not to have to walk into a Walmart. But there are occasions when you have to do it. I will literally sit in my truck and self talk myself for about 30 seconds before I get out of the truck and walk into a Walmart. And the self talk is, hey, you're going to walk in here and these people are not going to affect your mood and you're not going to get angry at them. You're going to put in your AirPods and you're going to be okay with the inconsiderate disruptiveness of the entire environment. And you're going to be okay when you walk out. You are. So just take a deep breath. I mean, I literally have to have a mental conversation with myself about don't go in there and slap anyone because it drives
Yeah.
me crazy.
Yeah, and you
Goodness.
know who you can call who's gonna bail you out. So,
I
you got my
know,
number
but
on speed dial. If you
we've
can't
said
reach your
that
bride,
over.
you know.
I know, but we've said that over and over again. My fear is that I wouldn't be able to call you to bail me out of jail because you'd be sitting next to me. I think that's the real
Well, yeah,
problem.
that was the second part of my statement was gonna be, and you know that if you're planning a good one and we know we're going down, you better call me so we can we can protect each other in prison.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that bothers me just a little bit because I know I would be your call and you would be my call to get bailed out. I get that. But this weird piece of me that if you did call me and say you needed to be bailed out, I probably would have just a moment of disappointment that you didn't include me in the first place.
Well, yeah. Well,
But if
um,
you spin somebody out into the median, I guess I guess that's probably fine. You probably should fight that battle on your own.
yeah, well, I'm not talking about the minor things. I'm talking about, if we gotta do something super sketchy involving a backhoe and a body, removal, then, we'll go down together on that deal,
Oh
but,
yeah. Well, I would
um
I would never try to hide a body without you. I wouldn't do that. I care about you too much.
well, that and you got the best loader for it, so you got the best buckets on your skid loader, so, um, that's and the land to do it with,
Yeah,
but I've kept those.
I have the equipment and the opportunity. That is certainly for sure.
Yeah, well, don't be slapping anybody in a Walmart because you just don't just the hassle of the legal battle of that alone. Plus, half those people are looking for an opportunity to take somebody like you down as much as they can. So, yeah, it's definitely. But I've got a solution to the problem, but none of it's legal, and that's where I think I should have maybe been a lawyer instead. But I've always believed, um, that our prison system is fucked up, and that if you're
Yeah.
sitting on death row, and I know how to fix this problem, and it's similar in nature. If you're twice convicted of a crime involving the death of another person, you should live through the second appeal, and then 24 hours after that judgment, you should no longer be on the planet. None of this sitting for 50 years, costing us money to feed you and house you and entertain you and provide you workout equipment. Um, you should just be gone from the planet. And there's peaceful ways of doing that. It just should be done. Use the DNA evidence, whatever. You absolutely, positively committed this crime, no matter how much you say you didn't. Bye. Next day. Now, part two of that is that um, it should be streamed on a pay-per-view, make it a pay-per-view event. And electrocution's involved. So everybody's you're curious about what that looks like. It's like a train wreck. You can't look away, right?
Of course you can. You don't wanna
So
see it, but you need to see it.
you need to see it, which is part three, in that an elementary school curriculum, you should, in the fourth grade, be required to watch this electrocution. And the curriculum should be basic. It should be, hey, if you want to die like then be a criminal. Do crimes. If this is what you are looking for out of life, and get it in their heads early that crime doesn't pay. And I bet you will, over a period of 30 or 40 years, you watch your crime rate drop.
Oh,
Now,
absolutely.
the funds, okay, from the pay-per-view event go to education. So now you've supplemented the budget for statewide education budgets. So you've solved that problem, right? So that's just, to me, that's a win-win-win. Now let's relate it to the people we're talking about today. We don't have to electrocute these people, but a taser or two wouldn't be bad. Maybe a little 110 to say, hey, don't be stupid. As that shit hurt. Good. Learn from it. Don't be stupid.
I'm
And I
guessing.
bet you,
I'm guessing you haven't seen the Hunger Games movies.
bits and pieces of it.
You need to watch them then.
Okay, I'll make a note of that. But I think if there were pain involved, if being stupid was
Yeah,
painful, we'd have a lot less stupid. But
I
people
agree
get
with
away
that.
with being stupid. There's no consequences for being stupid other than
Well,
your
and
own
it's
personal consequences.
it's it's the disconnect too, though. The ultimate example is the Dixie Chicks, who I think now they call themselves the Chicks, trying to do a reboot. But they were high flying, doing great on the charts, selling a whole bunch of, at the time, CDs. Um, and they decide that the right place for them to criticize President George W. Bush is in Texas, which was
Ah,
a extremely poor decision on their part.
again,
That they
stupid.
went on a rant. Lead singer goes on a rant right in the middle of this concert, and it went over like flies on
Like a
poop.
fart in a diving helmet.
Um,
Yep.
you're damn right. And all of a sudden, people are destroying their CDs, telling radio stations don't play their music anymore. And the lead singer comes out and says, "I just don't understand what happened. I thought we had a free country with free speech." And I heard this and I thought, "Okay, look here, dumbass. You're not in prison for criticizing the president, okay? In some countries, you would be killed for doing that. You're not in prison. Nobody has punished you. There's no consequence of your action, um, in your eyes, but there are consequences of being a dumbass, okay? You
Right.
made a
That's
poor
exactly right.
decision and you ignored your base, okay? Because there are a
Hmm.
lot of people who like your music that don't think President George W. Bush is doing that bad of a job. And you ignored your base, which is a great segue to our next episode, because our next episode, we're going to tackle that. And it's the
Yep.
bull crap decisions that companies make when they ignore their base. So
Yep.
don't miss the next episode.
Go woke, go broke. That's the it. And on the First Amendment thing, you are free to
Yep,
say whatever you want in this country, but nothing in that amendment says you're free of the consequences of it, which is
that's
where
right.
your brain needs to go, I think this, but should I say it?
Yep.
Or are there going to be consequences for me saying it? And are the consequences worth it for expressing my opinion or not? Again, personal responsibility. You have to use your brain to not be stupid. And all
Yep.
of this discussion boils down to, how do you help stupid not be stupid? Because the education system is breeding them. Yeah, come over here, public education. Yeah, we're going to make you smart. No, you're not. You're indoctrinating people to be more stupid. You're teaching them to be a victim instead of using their brains to not be a victim.
Exactly. Got it.
Yeah. So
All
good.
right.
Good Friday conversation so that I can be pissed off the rest of the day. Thanks,
Uh,
Bart.
All right, man. Well, I enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you soon, Grump.
Yeah, man. Be good later.
You have survived another episode with Shaka, Grump, and Barty. Tell your friends. Or don't. We don't care.